The shuttle landed with a soft hiss on the metal floor of Station Helix 7, picked up his bag and walked down the ramp with the other new cadets. He was the only human in the group. The space station was massive. Had seen pictures during his training on Earth, but pictures could not capture the true size of this place. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Thousands of aliens walked through the arrival hall, speaking in languages that his translator chip struggled to process. Was 22 years old. He was not tall by human standards, and he was not short either. His body was thick with muscle from years of training, but next to the aliens around him, he looked small. Some of these beings were 3 meters tall. Others floated in the air. A few seemed to be made of living crystal. A mechanical voice spoke in his ear. "Cadet, report to Training Unit 17, Section G Level 4. He followed the signs through the station. Other cadets moved past him quickly, their long legs carrying them faster than his could. Nobody looked at him. Nobody spoke to him. To them, he was invisible. The Galactic Military Academy was the most famous military school in the known universe. It trained soldiers from over 200 species. For centuries, humans had been too primitive to join. Earth was considered a dangerous, backward planet, the kind of place that produced animals, not soldiers. But things had changed. Earth had made contact with the Confederacy 5 years ago. After long negotiations, humans were finally allowed to send cadets to the academy, was part of the first group. He found Section G and entered the classroom for Training Unit 17. The room was large and circular, with seats arranged in rising rows around a central platform. About 30 alien cadets were already there, talking and laughing with each other. The room went quiet when walked in. He felt their eyes on him. Some looked curious, most looked amused, a few looked disgusted. "Is that a human?" someone whispered. "Look how small it is. I heard their planet is classified as a Class 4. Species are basically animals that learn to talk." Laughter spread through the room. Said nothing. He found an empty seat in the back row and sat down. He pulled out his tablet and began reading the course materials. A tall alien approached him. This one was from the species, had studied them during his preparation. They were elegant beings with pale blue skin, long limbs, and large dark eyes. They considered themselves the most civilized species in the galaxy. This was over 2 meters tall. He looked down at with a smile that was not friendly. "You are in my seat," the said. Looked around. There were many empty seats. "I apologize, I did not know seats were assigned." "They are not, but this is still my seat. Move." The room was watching, could feel it. He picked up his bag and moved to a different seat without saying another word. The laughed and sat down. His friends laughed with him. Continued reading. A few minutes later, the instructor arrived. He was a species with 4 arms and rough, stone-like skin. His name was, and scars covered his face and body. He had clearly seen many battles. "Welcome to combat theory," instructor said. His voice was deep and rough. "This semester we focus on close-quarters combat. By the end, some of you will be warriors. Most of you will wash out. That is the way of things." He looked around the room slowly. His eyes stopped on. "We have a human this year," said. "Stand up." Stood. "State your name and classification." "Earth, classification Class 4. Murmurs spread through the room. The instructor raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "Class 4, repeated. For those who do not know, that means his planet has high gravity, extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, and a toxic atmosphere by standard measurements. Most species cannot survive on such worlds." "How did something intelligent evolve there?" a cadet asked. "There were crystalline beings, beautiful and fragile-looking." "Luck," someone said, "or a mistake." More laughter. Instructor did not laugh. He studied for a long moment. "Sit down, cadet." Sat. The class continued. explained the basics of combat theory across different gravity environments, took careful notes. He did not speak unless asked a direct question. He did not look at the other cadets. When the class ended, packed his things quickly. He wanted to find his quarters, eat something, and sleep. The shuttle journey had been long, and his body was still adjusting to the station's artificial gravity. He was almost at the door when something hit his foot. He stumbled forward but caught himself before falling. Behind him, the tall was pulling his leg back. He had tripped on purpose. "Careful, human," the said. "These floors are very smooth. Your primitive legs might not be designed for them." His friends laughed again. Turned and looked at he said nothing. His face showed nothing. He simply looked at him for 5 long seconds. The smile faded slightly. Something in the human's eyes was strange. Cold, empty, like looking into deep water and not knowing what was underneath. Then turned and walked away. The shook off the feeling. "Run away, little animal," he called out. "This is going to be a long semester for you." He was the son of a high-ranking military commander. He had never met a human before, but he had heard the stories. Weak, primitive, emotional, easy to break. He smiled as he watched the human disappear around the corner. This was going to be fun. Found his quarters. They were small and simple. A bed, a desk, a bathroom, everything he needed. He sat on the bed and looked at his hands. They were steady. His heart rate was normal. His breathing was calm. In his mind, he replayed the moment when it tripped him. He noted the angle of the attack, the position of his friends, the layout of the room. 3 years in the Korean military had taught him many things: how to fight, how to survive, how to wait. The mountains of Korea were cold and unforgiving. The DMZ was a place where young soldiers learned very quickly that death was always close. Had spent months in survival training, learning to live in forests and mountains with nothing but a knife and his own skills. His grandmother used to tell him a saying: "The nail that sticks up gets hammered down." Understood this well. In a new place surrounded by enemies, the smart thing to do was stay quiet, stay small, watch and learn. He would not stick up, not yet. He lay down on the bed and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would be another long day, and the day after that, and the day after that. But one day things would change. And when that day came, and his friends would learn something important about humans. They would learn why Earth was called a. 2 weeks passed at the academy. Learned the rhythms of the place quickly. Wake up early, exercise, classes, training, study, sleep, repeat. He ate alone in the cafeteria every day. The food was strange, designed for many different species, but he found things that his human body could digest. He sat at a small table in the corner and watched the other cadets talk and laugh with their friends. He had no friends here. The other human cadets were in different units, different sections. He saw them sometimes in the hallways. They nodded at each other but did not stop to talk. Everyone was too busy surviving. And his group made sure survival was difficult. It started small, tripping him in hallways, knocking his tablet out of his hands, whispering insults when he walked past, calling him animal and primitive and trash. Ignored it all. He picked up his tablet and kept walking. He stepped over feet that tried to trip him. He acted like he could not hear the insults. This only made angrier. "Why won't you react?" asked him one day, blocking his path to class. "Are you broken? Do humans not have emotions?" "I have emotions," said calmly. "I choose not to show them." "How boring," said. He pushed shoulder. "Maybe I need to try harder." One morning, opened his equipment locker to find his training gear destroyed. Someone had cut it with a blade. The boots were slashed. The uniform was torn. The protective padding was ripped apart. Equipment inspection was in 2 hours. Reported to inspection with damaged gear. Instructor looked at him with cold eyes. "Explain this, cadet." "My equipment was vandalized, sir." Do you have proof? No, sir. The security cameras in that section were not working. Looked at for a long moment. He knew what had happened. Everyone knew. But without proof, there was nothing to be done. You are marked for equipment failure, said. One more mark and you face academic review. Yes, sir. Walked away. Behind him, he heard and his friends laughing quietly. There were 9 of them now. 9 cadets who had decided that making the humans' life miserable was their favorite hobby. That evening, went to the administration office. I would like to request a private training room, he said to the officer on duty. Evening hours. The officer was a small creature with many eyes. She looked up at him with surprise. Private training rooms are usually reserved for senior cadets. I understand, but I believe my training needs are different from other cadets. Earth's gravity is higher than standard. I need specialized equipment. The officer checked her computer. There is a room available in Section J. It has adjustable gravity settings. You may use it from 2100 to 2300 hours each night. Thank you. Began his new routine that night. The room was perfect. Small, private, and equipped with weights and training machines that could be adjusted to any gravity level. He set the gravity to 1.3 G, slightly higher than Earth normal. Then he began to work. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, punches, kicks, rolls, falls, everything that his body remembered from 3 years of military training. His muscles burned, his lungs ached, sweat poured down his face. He did not stop. Every night for 2 weeks he trained until his body screamed for rest. Then he trained some more. He practiced combat techniques. He studied the fighting styles of other species on his tablet between sets. He learned their weaknesses, their blind spots, their pressure points. They were fast but fragile. They had a nerve cluster at the base of their skulls that, if struck correctly, would cause immediate unconsciousness. They were strong but slow. Their stone-like bodies were hard, but their joints were vulnerable. Dislocate a joint and they could not fight. They were crystalline and beautiful, but their joints were brittle. Apply enough force at the right angle and they would crack like glass. Memorized everything. One day, a human female cadet approached him in the cafeteria. Her name was Park. She was 1 year senior to him, assigned to a different training unit. May I sit? She asked. Nodded. She sat across from him and looked at him with serious eyes. I have heard about what is happening to you, she said quietly, and his friends. It is nothing I cannot handle. That is what Lee Minyu said last year. He was a human cadet in Unit 12. They broke his arm during a training exercise. The academy ruled it an accident. Stopped eating. Where is he now? Medical discharge. He went back to Earth. Leaned forward. These aliens do not see us as equals. They see us as animals, and they will hurt you if you let them. I am not letting them do anything. Then what are you doing? Was quiet for a moment, waiting. Studied his face. She saw something there that made her uneasy. The same cold, empty look that had seen 2 weeks ago. Be careful, she said finally. The academy has rules, but the rules do not always protect humans. I understand. Thank you for the warning. She left, finished his meal and returned to his quarters. That night, something happened that changed everything. Was in his room, studying for the next day's exam. His tablet beeped with a notification. Someone had tagged him in a public post on the Academy's social network. He opened it. The post was a video. It showed his family back on Earth. His mother, his father, his younger sister. Private images that he had sent in messages to them, now edited and displayed for everyone to see. His mother's face was zoomed in with text added. This is what creatures look like. Ugly. His sister was shown next. She was 16. The text said, even their children are disgusting. The comments below were full of laughing emojis. Hundreds of cadets from across the station were watching and laughing at his family. His hands began to shake. Not from fear, not from sadness. From something else. He stood up slowly. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. His reflection stared back at him. His face was calm. His eyes were not. In the mountains of Korea there was a saying, "A patient wolf eats well." Had been patient. He had been quiet. He had let them push him and insult him and destroy his things. He had let them think he was weak. But his family was not part of this. His sister was not part of this. Some lines should not be crossed. The next morning went to class as usual. He sat in his usual seat. He took notes as usual. When his friends laughed and pointed at him, he did not react. But something had changed. Instructor announced that the class would have live sparring matches next week. Paired combat, training weapons. Matches would end on yield or instructor's decision. "This will count for 30% of your grade," said. "Prepare well." Caught's eye across the room. He smiled and made a cutting motion across his throat. Looked back at him. He did not smile. He did not react. But in his mind, he was already planning. The wolf had been patient long enough. Soon it would be time to hunt. The day of the sparring matches arrived. Training Unit 17 gathered in the combat classroom. The central platform had been cleared and marked with a fighting circle. Training weapons lined the walls. Staves, practice swords, padded clubs, all designed to hurt but not kill. Instructor stood in the center with a tablet in one of his 4 hands. "The matching system will pair you randomly," he announced. "When your name is called, step into the circle, choose your weapon, and fight. The match ends when one fighter yields or when I stop it. Understood?" "Understood, sir," the class responded. Stood at the edge of the room, watching. His face was calm. His body was relaxed, but inside he was ready. The matches began. First, 2 cadets fought each other. They were fast and graceful, their staves spinning through the air. The match lasted 3 minutes before one yielded. Then 2 fought. They were slower but powerful, their stone-like bodies crashing against each other. The floor shook with their impacts. Match after match. Watched them all carefully. He noted how each species moved, how they attacked, how they defended, where they were strong, where they were weak. Finally, his name was called. Versus he was almost 3 meters tall and twice as wide as. His 4 arms were thick with muscle. He looked like a walking mountain. Stepped into the circle. He chose a short staff as his weapon. It felt light in his hands, familiar. He had trained with similar weapons in the Korean military. The fight began. Charged immediately, all 4 arms swinging. He was confident. Why would he not be? He was facing a tiny human with a stick. Dodged the first swing, and the second, and the third. He moved around not attacking, just avoiding. "Fight human," roared, "stop running." Saw an opening. His left side was unprotected for just a moment. He could strike the joint, disable the arm, maybe end the fight. He did not take it. Instead, he dropped his staff and raised his hands. "I yield," he said. The room was silent. Instructor frowned. "The match goes to, receives a failing grade for this round." Bowed and walked back to the edge of the room. He ignored the whispers and laughs from the other cadets. "Coward," someone said. "Pathetic." "Trash." Was watching from across the room. He was smiling. The human was as weak as he had expected. But something was strange. The human had moved so easily around he had seen openings that others would miss. Why had he not attacked? Before could think more about this, instructor spoke again. "We have a system error. One cadet was not properly matched. Step forward again." Looked up. This was not surprising. He had expected something like this. "Your new opponent is." The room buzzed with excitement. Everyone knew about the conflict between them. This would be entertaining. stepped into the circle with a confident smile. He chose a traditional combat staff. It was long and weighted, perfect for his tall frame and long reach. Stepped into the circle. He looked at the weapons on the wall, staves, swords, clubs. He chose nothing. Cadet, instructor said, "You must select a weapon." "With respect, sir, the rules state that cadets may choose their fighting style. I choose unarmed combat." Checked his tablet. The rules did allow this. It was unusual but not forbidden. "Very well, proceed." Laughed. "Are you serious? You want to fight me with your bare hands? I always knew humans were stupid, but this is beyond anything I expected." Said nothing. He stood in the center of the circle, hands at his sides, weight balanced on both feet. His eyes were fixed on. "Begin," said. Attacked immediately. He swung his staff in a wide arc, aiming for his head. It was a powerful strike, meant to end the fight quickly and painfully. Did not dodge away from the strike. He stepped into it. His left hand shot up and caught the staff mid-swing. The impact made a loud crack. Eyes went wide with shock. No one caught a staff strike. The speed and force made it impossible. But's hand was wrapped around it. His grip was like iron. The room went completely silent. Twisted his wrist. The staff spun out of his hands and clattered to the floor. Before could react, stepped forward and struck him once in the neural cluster at the base of his skull. Collapsed like a puppet with cut strings. 3 seconds. The entire exchange had taken 3 seconds. Instructor stared. The other cadets stared. Nobody moved. Then chaos erupted. 8 cadets rushed toward the fighting circle. Friends. The ones who had helped destroy his equipment. The ones who had posted his family's pictures online. The ones who had made his life miserable for 6 weeks. "Stop," instructor shouted. "This is unauthorized. Return to your positions." Nobody listened. The 8 aliens spread out around. They were armed with training weapons they had grabbed from the wall. Staves, clubs, practice blades. Their eyes were filled with rage. "You think you can attack and walk away?" one of them shouted. He was even bigger than, "We will break every bone in your body." Looked at them slowly, one by one. He counted them, 8 plus the unconscious, 9 total. 9 enemies, all armed, all bigger than him, all angry. The smart thing to do was yield, apologize, accept whatever punishment they wanted to give, live to fight another day. But was tired of being smart. He rolled his shoulders. He cracked his neck left then right. He took a slow, deep breath. "Fine," he said quietly. His voice was calm, cold. "All of you then." The 8 aliens looked at each other. Was this human insane? Did he really think he could fight all of them at once? One of them laughed nervously. "He is crazy. They made him crazy." "Let's teach him a lesson," another said. "One he will never forget." They began to close in. Stood in the center, surrounded. He felt the familiar calm that always came before violence. His heartbeat slowed. His vision sharpened. Every detail became clear. The way they shifted his weight before attacking. The slight tremble in his crystalline hands. The overconfident stance of the who thought his reach would protect him. In Korea, there was a saying, "When you are surrounded by wolves, become the tiger." Had spent his life learning how to survive on a planet that wanted to kill him. He had trained in mountains where one wrong step meant death. He had served in one of the most dangerous borders in the world. These aliens thought they were predators. They had never seen a real predator. They were about to learn. The first charged. And moved. The swung all 4 of his arms at once. It was a powerful attack, designed to crush anything in its path. Against most species, it would have worked. Dropped low, lower than any alien in the room expected. Human joints bent in strange ways. They could fold themselves into positions that other species found disturbing and impossible. The arms passed over his head. Before the alien could recover, drove his shoulder into the center of mass. It was like hitting a stone wall but did not need to break him. He only needed to unbalance him. That was top-heavy. His legs were strong but narrow. When shoulder hit him low, he stumbled backward. His arms flailed, searching for balance. Did not give him time to find it. His elbow came up fast, striking the nerve junction at the base of the skull, the same spot he had hit on. The eyes rolled back and he fell like a cut tree. One down, 8 seconds. The two attacked together. They were crystalline beings, their bodies glittering under the lights. They moved in perfect coordination, their weapons swinging from opposite sides. Had studied them carefully. Their silicon bodies were hard, nearly impossible to damage with normal strikes, but their joints were different. Where their limbs connected, the crystal was thin and brittle. He did not try to block their attacks. Instead, he grabbed one's arm and pulled, hard. They was not expecting this. Most species tried to dodge or deflect. Humans grabbed and pulled. It was primitive, it was brutal, it worked. They stumbled forward directly into his partner. Their weapons tangled, their bodies collided. Struck both elbow joints with precise, powerful blows. Crack, crack. They screamed in frequencies that human ears could not hear. Their arms went limp, crystals fractured at the joints. They collapsed to the ground, unable to fight. 3 down, 21 seconds. A came next, his close friend. He was fast, the fastest of the group, and he had seen what happened to the others. He did not make the mistake of rushing in blindly. His staff moved in quick, controlled jabs, testing, probing, looking for weakness. Let him attack. He dodged the first jab, the second, the third. On the fourth jab, they extended too far. His hand shot out and grabbed the staff. They tried to pull back, but human grip strength was something he had never experienced before. Ancestors had survived by climbing trees and holding on to rocks. Their hands had evolved to grip and never let go. They pulled, held. For one brief moment, they were locked in a contest of pure strength. They lost. Yanked the staff forward, pulling the off balance. As the alien stumbled toward him, released the staff and struck him once in the throat. They went down, gasping for air. 4 down, 33 seconds. Blood was dripping from his lip. Somewhere in the exchange, a strike had connected. He had not felt it happen. He tasted copper and iron. He smiled. The remaining 5 attackers hesitated. They had seen half their group fall in less than a minute. The human was still standing. He was bleeding and he was smiling. Something was wrong. This was not how it was supposed to go. Together, one of them said, all at once. He cannot fight all of us at the same time. They charged as a group. 5 bodies, 5 weapons, all converging on one target. Did not retreat. He moved forward into the mass of enemies. On Earth, every child learned that the best way to survive a fight against multiple opponents was to keep moving. Never stay in one place. Never let them surround you. Use their numbers against them. Had learned these lessons in the mountains of Korea, where soldiers trained to fight in conditions that would kill most aliens. He had learned them on the DMZ, where the price of failure was death. He used the unconscious body of the as a shield. One attacker's club struck his fallen teammate instead of. He grabbed a chair from the edge of the fighting area and threw it, not at an enemy, but between 2 of them, forcing them to separate. He ducked under a wild swing and came up behind her, using the alien's body as cover while striking at his legs. He was everywhere and nowhere, moving constantly, striking and vanishing, using every object in the room as a weapon or shield. A table, a fallen staff, the wall itself. The aliens were getting in each other's way. They were swinging wildly, afraid, frustrated. Their training had not prepared them for this. They were used to formal duels, clean matches, civilized combat. Fought like a cornered animal. Because that was what humans were. Animals. Animals. Creatures that had evolved on a planet where everything wanted to kill them, where survival meant being smarter, faster, and more brutal than anything else. 51 seconds, 6 down. 68 seconds, 7 down. The eighth attacker saw his friends on the ground. He saw the human standing in the middle of them, bleeding from his lip, breathing hard but not stopping. The human's eyes were focused, calm, absolutely terrifying. The alien dropped his weapon and raised his hands. "I yield," he whispered. Looked at him for a long moment, then he nodded. The ninth attacker, a young, charged with a scream. He had lost all reason. Fear and anger drove him forward in one last desperate attack. Caught his strike, redirected his momentum and put him down gently, almost carefully. The hit the ground and did not get up, but he was not seriously hurt. Stood alone in the center of the room. 93 seconds. 10 cadets on the floor, 1 human standing. The classroom was silent. Instructor stood frozen, his tablet forgotten in his hand. The other cadets stared with wide eyes. Some had stopped breathing. Turned to face the instructor. Blood dripped down his chin. His uniform was torn, but he stood straight, his shoulders back, his head high. He bowed. "Sir," he said, his voice steady, "I believe my evaluation from the earlier match was incorrect. I would like to request a fair assessment based on this demonstration." Nobody moved, nobody spoke. A medical officer rushed in from the side of the room. Other medical staff followed. They began treating the fallen cadets, checking for serious injuries. Instructor finally found his voice. "Cadet," he said slowly, you defeated 10 armed opponents in 93 seconds with your bare hands." "Yes, sir." "That should not be possible." Said nothing. Looked at the humans he had dismissed as weak and primitive. He looked at the scattered bodies of cadets from species considered far superior. He looked at the blood on the floor and the fear in the eyes of the surviving students. "Everyone is dismissed," said, "except Cadet Stay." The room emptied quickly. No one wanted to be near the human any longer than necessary. When they were alone, approached, he was careful to keep some distance between them. "I have served in the military for 40 years, said. "I have seen warriors from 100 species. I have never seen anything like what you just did. I apologize for the disruption, sir." "Do not apologize." His voice was quiet. "I watched the recording of your family being mocked. I knew what they were doing to you. I did nothing because I thought you were weak. I thought you would be broken eventually. I thought humans were not worth protecting." Met his eyes. "Many people think that." "I was wrong," paused. "I will be filing a report on this incident, the truth of what happened here, all of it." "Thank you, sir." "Thank me by not destroying anyone else." Almost smiled. "At least until I finish the paperwork." Bowed again and walked out of the room. In the hallway, Park was waiting. "I saw the footage," she said. "Everyone saw it. It is all over the station." "Good," said. "Good, they will come after you now. The commanders, the administrators, the families of those cadets. Let them come." Looked at her with those cold, calm eyes. "I am done hiding." He walked past her toward the medical wing. His lip needed treatment, and he wanted to check on. Not to gloat, not to threaten. Just to see if they had learned anything. The next 48 hours were chaos. Was called to the Academy command offices 3 times. He sat in waiting rooms while officers argued behind closed doors. He answered the same questions over and over again. "Tell us exactly what happened." "I was attacked by multiple cadets. I defended myself." "You put 10 of them in the medical wing." "They are alive. I used minimal force." The officers exchanged looks. Minimal force. The human's definition of that phrase was very different from theirs. Admiral requested that be brought to her office. She was an ancient, nearly 300 years old. Her blue skin had faded to a pale gray. Her dark eyes held the weight of countless battles. She had led fleets. She had conquered worlds. She had built this academy from nothing. And now she was watching footage of a young human destroying 10 of her cadets. The video played on a screen behind her desk. Watched himself move through the crowd of attackers. It looked different from the outside. Faster, more brutal. 93 seconds, Admiral said. I have watched this 17 times. I still do not understand how you did it. Stood at attention, training Admiral and experience. Training? The Admiral turned off the video. Tell me about your training. 3 years in the Republic of Korea Army, Admiral, mountain warfare, survival operations, close quarters combat. And your planet, tell me about Earth. Was quiet for a moment. Earth is classified as a Class 4, high gravity compared to galactic standard, extreme temperature variations. Every biome contains predators. The atmosphere is considered toxic by most species. Yet humans thrive there. We evolved there, Admiral. We had no choice but to thrive. The Admiral studied him carefully. When I reviewed your file, I expected to find evidence of genetic modification, enhanced strength, improved reflexes, something to explain what you did. But you are unmodified, completely natural. Yes, Admiral. Your grip strength alone is remarkable. You caught a combat staff mid-swing. The force required to do that. She shook her head. We thought humans were weak. We thought you were primitive survivors from a dangerous world. We thought your admission to the Confederacy was a formality. Many species think this, Admiral. We were wrong. The words seemed difficult for her to say. I am beginning to understand now. Species are not weak. You are compressed. All that violence, all that survival instinct packed into small bodies with polite smiles. Said nothing. The charges against you have been dismissed, the Admiral continued. The evidence is clear. You were attacked by 9 cadets. The harassment you experienced was documented. The video of your family was a violation of Academy rules and Confederacy law. And the other cadets? And his group face suspension. 3 have been expelled. The rest will remain under close observation for the duration of their training. Nodded. It was fair, more than fair. You may return to your unit, the Admiral said. But Cadet, one more thing. Yes, Admiral. The ancient looked at him with something close to respect. I have underestimated your species. The entire Confederacy has underestimated you. That was a mistake. It will not happen again. Bode, we learned to be polite later, Admiral, but we never forgot what we are. He left the office and walked back to Section G. The hallways were different now. Cadets who had ignored him before now stepped aside as he passed. Some nodded at him. A few even bowed. The ones who had laughed at his family looked away when he walked by. Fear, respect, perhaps both. Did not care which. Training Unit 17 was quiet when he entered the classroom. His usual seat in the back was empty. He sat down and pulled out his tablet. The cadet next to him, a young, leaned over nervously. Cadet, I wanted to apologize. I laughed when they showed those pictures of your family. I did not participate in the other things, but I laughed. That was wrong. Looked at him. There was trembling slightly, light refracting through his crystalline body. I accept your apology, said. The relaxed visibly. Thank you, if you ever need help with studies, I am quite good at physics. I would be happy to assist. I may take you up on that. The class continued. Other cadets approached him during breaks. Some apologized. Some asked questions about human combat techniques. A few asked if he would be willing to train with them. Agreed to all of it. That evening, there was a knock on his door. He opened it to find standing in the hallway. The look different. His arm was in a sling. His face was bruised. But more than that, something in his eyes had changed. The arrogance was gone. Something else had taken its place. May I come in? Asked. Stepped aside. Entered the small room. He looked around at the simple furniture, the neat desk, the bed that was too short for most species. "I have been thinking," said slowly, "about why I hated you before I even knew you, before you did anything to me. And I think I was afraid." The words came with difficulty. "Humans are new, different. Your planet is terrifying. The idea that creatures like you exist, it made me uncomfortable, and I turned that fear into hate." Sat on his bed. "That is common. Most species do the same thing." It was wrong. Turned to face him. Then slowly, painfully, he lowered himself to the floor in a deep bow. His forehead touched the ground. "I apologize for everything, for the harassment, for your equipment, for your family. I have no excuse. I can only ask for forgiveness." The room was silent for a long moment. "Stand up," said. Stood, his face was uncertain, afraid. "I forgive you," said, "but understand this. If you ever touch my family again, even in a picture, I will not stop at unconsciousness." Nodded quickly. "I understand." "Good, now go rest. Your injuries need time to heal." Walked to the door. Before he left, he paused and looked back. "Cadet, why did you hold back for so long? You could have done this weeks ago. You could have destroyed us on the first day." Considered the question. "My grandmother used to say, 'The nail that sticks up gets hammered down.' I was trying not to stick up. I wanted to learn, to adapt, to make this place my home. And now everyone knows what I am. There is no point in hiding anymore." Left, lay back on his bed and stared at the ceiling. The semester continued. Finished his classes near the top of his unit. Other human cadets began to be treated differently across the station. Word spread. Videos were shared. The story of the human who defeated 10 cadets became legend. Park found him in the observation deck one evening. He was standing by the window, watching the stars. "You changed things," she said, joining him, "for all of us, the other humans in the academy. They are being treated better now." "Fear does that." "Is that all it is, fear?" Thought about it. Maybe not. Maybe some of them are beginning to understand. We are not animals. We are not primitives. We are just different. Different how? We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived. We evolved. We became something that the galaxy has never seen before." He turned to look at her. "They thought we were soft because we are polite. They thought we were weak because we are small. They thought we were stupid because we are new. And what are we really?" Smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "We are human, and that is enough." Outside the window, a billion stars glittered in the darkness. Earth was out there somewhere. A small blue world, considered too dangerous for most species to visit. But too, it was home. And now, standing in a station filled with aliens who finally understood what humans really were, he realized something important. The galaxy was about to become home too. Whether it was ready or not.